Okay, so it looks like I have to do a double session today because part one kind of left hanging. I call it KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. A lesson that I took to heart. So I've lived my life. Simplify things, and I just want to get back to that whole Greece almost going to war thing, right? Now, I never finished how it happened. We really did nearly go to war, and I've had this discussion with people. Or I've tried to say my point, and I know I get this sort of, I know I'm not getting across. So I'm going to see if I'm making sense to you here when I say this, okay? So this whole war thing. Now, we nearly went to war. Now, here's how it goes. Bill Clinton, to me, because it was so closely personally, I took it personally, did the finest thing. He was like the finest president. Now you say Bill Clinton, and the poor bugger's going to go down in history. This is just how stupid things are. In history for a blowjob, right? Oh no, it wasn't about a blowjob. Sorry, it was the fact that he lied. He didn't go home that day and say to his wife, "Oi, there was a thong in the office and she gave me a little blowjob." Like, no, he actually denied that, and for that they try to put the poor fuck in jail. And I'll get back to that because I actually wrote about that too. I was so incensed, but I'll go back to Clinton. So here is the two NATO neighbors, right? It's Turkey all armed to the teeth and mock dog fights with live fucking ammunition and all this shit, and and I, from experience, I know what it's like. There's this tension that arrives, and everybody's getting all fucking patriotic and nationalistic about bollocks. And I'm on my own in thinking that, hey, doesn't really matter about fuck. Anyway, here we go. You know how that thing was solved? And this is why. So unfair. Bill Clinton saved Europe from a potentially major war. And he did it simply. Playground logic, for God's sake. I mean, this is why we need... He came along and he said to Turkey and Greece, both NATO members, he said, hey, this is you two fuckers. I don't care who thinks they belong to that, owns that island, and all this is a load of shit. So here's what's going to happen. The first one of you two fucks who fires a shot at the other, we are joining the other side. Doesn't matter if it's Turkey or Greece. Guess what? No war. Bravo, Mr. Clinton. But he's not remembered for that. Even the Americans say, well, that's how you... No, but they will remember the blowjob. And that was another thing that I'm going to get to now. So I saw this. This is... By this stage, I'd only just got the internet to the island, and that's another story for another time. That in itself was a battle, but it was so much fun. So I had this internet office in town, and it's the only connection on the island, the old modem, analog, and connected. But I had Ingeborg gave me this little old laptop with what was floppy disk, right? The little square floppy, right? And I saw this article about Kenneth Starr, it costing $40 million, a lot of money, even now, but back then even more. $40 million to investigate how bad the lie was that Clinton had a blowjob with Monica Lewinsky and there was a dress with a cum stain on it. I mean, I'm thinking, what the fuck? Your man's just saved Europe from a war, and here we are focusing on a blowjob. And it drove me nuts. So I wrote this thing. I didn't write this thing. Crap. This is bollocks. So I was on this little typewriter home and I thought, hey, this is all brand new internet shit. And I'm going, fuck it. I wrote my little piece, and I basically, similar in vein, I wrote something about this is nothing more than a capital hill of beans, which I thought was very clever. And I went down to the office, my little office in town, and plugged it in, and I typed in, up came Time magazine, sent it off. And that was it. And then, I don't know, weeks later, I get this phone call from Brian Camini. He says, hey, mate, because he was the only one that I used to subscribe to Time magazine. And he said, hey, David Fagan Hydra. Yeah, you're in there. I said, what is it about? He says, you're complaining about, them attacking over a blowjob. And I went, I didn't give a shit about that. I'd forgotten about it. I thought nothing of it. This is me at home going, fucking bollocks, 40 million waste of money, send it off, forget about it, with no other intention than just to get it off my chest is what I'm doing here. And what it did is it struck me right there and then, I thought, fuck me. Just as well I had said something nice. You know, I mean, I could have easily have written something that could have been terribly offensive, and it wouldn't have been me. But the fact that it went to Time magazine, this is before, remember, this is like 90s, right? This went to Time magazine, which is probably the world leader, and it was potentially read by millions. And I thought, fucking hell, here I am in my little cottage. I mean, it was my new cottage, a fancy one from Yaya. I mean, it had my own toilet, and it had hot water, which I hadn't had for a couple of years. I mean, I was so happy. I loved that little place, a little lemon tree outside, and there are stories about it, but that's beside the point. In this little thing up on a hill near Four Corners on this little island, and I got this irk about, you know, trying to impeach a president who's done such a wonderful job over a blowjob, and how pathetic and petty we are as a species, and it came out, and I thought, fuck. And that sowed a seed. These are all stepping stones. That, and, you know, the Athens News and things. I was a journalist before, and I got out of that because of also the same shit. I mean, I didn't like a certain aspect of it, and I was offered this job, but in advertising. But so that's how I'm finishing off today. My attitude towards politics in general has diminished to the point where I don't want to hear about it anymore. Okay, if you do that to Clinton, and you don't focus, what hope is there? And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, okay, I know probably this part of the world because I was there for a couple of decades. But, you know, there's poor old Cecil John Rhodes, who, because he was a pussy and colonialism and blah, blah, they want to pull down his statues. Really? And then meanwhile, now this is just history. I said nothing to do with colour or anything else, but look at fucking history and how we misjudge and try and rewrite crap. Here's your man Shaka Zulu, right? Yeah, we know Shaka Zulu. Big brave Zulu warrior, etc. Oh yeah, no shit about that. But he was also a bloodthirsty fucking tyrant, genocide. His mum dies and he orders like 10,000 people to leap off a rock, which was infamously called Shaka's Rock. And he was a genocide. He was up there with you know, Vlad the Impaler and Genghis and Hitler and everybody else. But no, history's now written it. I read that Durban International is now called Shaka Zulu Airport, and they erected a huge statue. Yeah, there's no denying that he was a Napoleon in his tactics, the short spear as opposed to throwing spears, and the Zulu impis with the horns, and the only natives anywhere in the world that actually beat an entire, at the height of the power, the poor British were killed at Tsotsatsinwanga, whatever it was called. And they wiped out like 1,200 British soldiers with their assegais. But my point is, yeah, there's greatness there, but it's for the wrong reasons that we erect statues, and the wrong reasons we pull down statues. And I'm only focusing on that because the shit has been happening all over the world, and it's upsetting. And it's not because I'm pro or anti anything. It's just as an observer, as this person who got out of the rat race, lives out of it, and observes without carrying any flags. Anyway, I'm getting round to that. That's another reason as to why I had this in my brain, that this internet that I discovered is even more powerful, or proof that what I thought about it was proof. In Time magazine and that story, and that sowed the seeds of like, wow, this has the potential. And we're not doing the right thing with this internet. So I tried, but you'll see about that. Okay, enough.